Now getting into the demo part of it, I'm super excited. And just to show, as you can see on the screen, there are multiple ways to log in into our platform. And I'm selecting Innovaccer over there. With my credential, I get into the platform. Mike, this is the day probably all of the data engineers has been waiting for that. They're not starting from the blank canvas. Yeah. They're getting thousands of preloaded content on the platform. When I started my journey as a data engineer a couple of decades back now, what we used to see is like, we need to figure out everything. And that has been the journey for like a really long time. So with this, a data engineer on day 0 get access to the connectors, to get access to data models. An AI engineer gets access to a lot of agents which are pre-built on the platform, along with a very simplified self-service tooling to build a new agent on the platform, and which I'm going to show you like very shortly. And then you have the API builder, and again, you can build the APIs in a very seamless manner. So take an example for this demo. I'm going to build a human capital management solution, right? And this kind of solution is fairly complex because of the dynamicity included with the whole solution, because you're going to deal with multiple diverse set of sources, starting with a bunch of EHRs, ERP solution, HR solution, along with the PMS solution, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to get the data from all the sources and create one unified data fabric layer to activate the enterprise level intelligence. So that's the whole thing. Again, I'm gonna go into connector section, where there are 450 plus connectors already preloaded on the platform. For this, I'm gonna use Athena as the key EMR. And there's a list of resources that I can see, right? That through which Athena has exposed their data attributes. What I'm doing here, I'm gonna select the bunch of APIs, which is really relevant from my perspective. And the moment I do it, I click on generate ETL, the code is being generated behind the scene. Remember, this was preloaded. It was already there on the platform. The selectiveness is driven by the developer, and it's the overall development packaging part is driven by the system, right? So you got the pipeline created. Now all you need to do, you activate it by providing the specific details of the Athena instance. And once you're done with the authentication, now the data start to hydrate our unified data model. Same step you need to repeat for ERP system, HR system, and all of it goes into our integrated data model, one layer for one organization. That's how we are building it. Once this is done, you get into data quality, and data quality is something that we take very seriously, because if you cannot trust the data, whatever you build is not going to be relevant from your perspective, right? So we already have thousands of checks already loaded on the platform that gets executed. We get to see the quality of data, and the engineer takes action to resolve those issues, right? While we're talking about the data checks around the business roles, one key thing that we have specifically crafted to meet the need of healthcare is around the usability of the data, right? We are getting the data from hundreds of sources, and each system is pretty open in that case, that what people can enter whatever they want to, right? So when we get into the data, we are kind of identifying that what is really usable versus not usable, and we are giving that information to data engineers to take corrective action, so that the usability of data kind of continues to the next layer as well.
This is really important for healthcare, and it's building on the decade of experience that we have with all these different types of data sources.
Absolutely. So this is where the fun starts, right? Once we have the data available, we are trusting the data that everything is good. This is the screen where the AI engineer comes into picture and sees that what are the agents available already on the platform. You can use one of the existing agent and just activate it, or you can select to create a new agent. And with few steps, you should be able to do it. So I'm building an agent for human capital planning management. So I've given the name of the agent. I've given a description, because whatever you're building here will go back to your own centralized library of agent. So someone tomorrow from your team comes and they want to use the agent will be available to them as well. So that's how the power of kind of a platform comes together, right? Once we are done with the description, we move into what are the policies in which agent should operate, because we know that AI is evolving and we need to put all the kind of security related constraint. Innovaccer from day 0 has built the multi-layer security architecture, starting from when you land into the platform and the way you kind of navigate through the multiple data attributes. If you are not supposed to see something, you will never be able to see that thing on the platform. So for the purpose of demo, I created the policy already, and now I'm going to use it. which is Platform Resource Planning V1. Once I'm done with the policy selection, that means I have protected pretty much everything on the platform. Now we are coming to the selection of the LLM model. We host a range of LLM models on the platform, right? Starting from a model coming from Meta, OpenAI, Anthropic, Amazon, and Google as well, right? For this demo, my personal preference is Cloud 3.7 because the agent that I'm going to build requires like specialization in the reasoning part of it. And so far my experience with Cloud 3.7 has been like really amazing. So I'm going to use it. I just gave the referencing part of it. And now I'm giving instruction to the agent in terms of giving an identity, saying that, hey, you are a AI staffing coordinator. Then I'm giving the goal for that agent, saying that you need to ensure that staff is properly utilized, not underutilized, not overutilized, properly utilized part of it. And then I'm putting the instruction in which they need to operate, that there are legal kind of constraints, there are rules coming from hospitals, there are changes when you should do versus when you should not do. So all of that information is given to the agent. This is very important when I'm giving the specific knowledge of that particular health system to the agent, right? And this is where I'm defining that get access to my patient data, get access to my schedule data, get access to my location data. And these are the data elements that you should refer to when you are defining the overall capacity for my health system, right? This is very important to minimize the hallucination factor that we usually get with like this broad LLM algorithms, right? Once this is done, we navigate into the most important aspect of guardrails. Ankit talked about that guardrails are very important because while it's very important to tell the agent what they're supposed to do, it's even more important that what they're not supposed to do, right? So there are hundreds of guardrails, healthcare specific, that we have created out of box, which is there on the platform. Along with that, we are giving the flexibility to the developer to build their own guardrails in a very simplified manner, right? So use the existing guardrails like PII reduction, overlap shift, travel time constraint. We don't want to put a doctor in a shift where he needs to travel from one location to another location for 3 hours, right? So those are the constraints that we are putting in. And then I'm putting the orchestration as default. I'm giving us access to the tools that agent is supposed to access. And I'm making this agent as a multi-agent support. And it's very important. I'll show you why it's important. So this is it. We have the agent ready for usage.
It almost seems too simple, but here we are.
Yeah. And now I want to test it, that whatever instruction, whatever configuration that I gave to the agent, is it really working or not? So I'm going to do a dry run with it, saying that please run a staffing check for all ICU and medical surgery units for next 2 days. The moment Copilot receives this and agent receives this instruction, it starts to crawl through all this database that we have and comes back with a summary saying that out of 10 facilities that we have, 8 is looking good, but with 2, we are seeing some level of observations. And those observations are related to Northview Hospital and Riverside Hospital. So there are a few nurses are like on vacation. We need to kind of figure out, because there is a huge, they are seeing a huge demand for those, and people will not be able to cater to it. So what I'm going to give, then recommend me the solution for that, right? And then agent goes back behind the scene, looks into the overall capacity across all the 10 facilities, and comes back with the recommendation saying that LRI is available, not that utilized. Probably she can be used to fulfill the need for now, along with Maria Patel, who actually worked with the practice some time back, and her schedule for next 2-3 days is looking relatively free. So I'm going to say that yes, make the changes and update the scheduling for these 2 individuals, and the request is submitted. Validated it, looks good. Now the next stage is to productionize it, because we want to do this on a regular basis, right? So as you can see on the screen, the agent that I built has access to the tool, which is Decision Engine. It has access to the LLM Cloud 3.7, and then the knowledge base that I created along with the guardrails, it is operating in that range. What I want to do, once the agent comes back with the recommendation in future, which is going to happen on a regular basis, probably on a daily basis, I'm going to connect it with another agent, which is communication, that is already there on the platform, so that when such kind of shortfall is detected and there is an underutilization of or overutilization of resources happening, the communication goes back to the individual. Sure. And then I run it. It's now there in the production. And when the execution completes, I get a notification saying that there is update in the schedule for me, right? And that's it in terms of activating the agent. But that's not the last part. With all the data coming together from the systems, which is EHR, ERPs, we created, you remember we created the enterprise layer. With all these modification that agent is doing in real time, that is also going back to the unified layer. And now I have access to the operational dashboard, which tells me that how is the bed utilization, how is the overall nurse to patient ratio, and you can build as many KPIs you want. We had, for the illustration purpose, I just put 4 KPIs, which we thought is going to be relevant, but the platform provides the capability for you to be very specific with your needs and activate the operations the way you want.